Good afternoon. I want to take you on a tour of a theater that I first worked on as an intern architect. And this is a theater in Dallas that was driven by the needs of a production company that were wildly experimental with how they use space in their productions, and were able to kind of change that space drastically in a warehouse. So this is the space now, and I'm just going to pass through here, but as you can see, it's sort of machinic in nature, as it can transform to a number of different multi-forms and accommodate the needs of that production. So how is something machinic actually enabling the human creative expression here? And this project was heavily driven by this concept diagram of where we thought about the procession and kind of flipped it on its side from a standard kind of front of house and back of house. And a lot of the opportunities and the changes of the space occurred from this simple flip of procession. This is from the same office, but much before my time. This is a residence where the client had recently become wheelchair bound, and he expressed to the architect that he really wanted the house to express the complexity of his life and not simplify it. And so this platform kind of moves around his needs and desires within that space. The procession of space, how does our performance relate to the spaces that we're in? I want to take you on a recent visit of mine as a patient for a quick hospital visit. We walk in and I think we recognize a reception area and we expect certain matters to happen at that time. For me, not all of them happened, right? I didn't pay my check-in fee and so forth. As I spoke with this first actor, I was told that there was no need to take blood on this visit, that it was simply an IV for dehydration and I'd be treated as such. The next actor to enter the room, the nurse, started by taking my blood, and I thought, wow, did I miss something? And he explained to me that it sounded like a spatial thing, that getting back to me in a moment should they need for their testing seemed difficult. And I kept thinking, why am I on the latter part of that equation, as if it's too hard to come back to treat me? So as I tried to find comfort in my nausea and dehydration, enter stage right, another actor that suddenly was asking me for my credit card and my payment, and I'm thinking, again, where is the performance aligning with these spaces as I understood them as an architect? And sometimes I think that if we think of space as a backdrop and not a product, we start to lose our connection to it. And so do you feel when you're in spaces that you're kind of touching those perimeters and how they're actually informing you? This is a project I worked on. It's a public restroom. And how do we take utilitarian needs and actually reshape them and bring out the human values that we're seeking? If we move to the future, what happens when a surgeon and a patient are no longer in the same room? If we were to exaggerate that relationship, how might the space then play a role in how the surgeon's able to concentrate, how the patient's able to feel empathetic, and how the patient's able to feel comforted by the space? Is it possible? And moving forward with my work in talking with patients led me on to a path with students to explore the redesign of a hospital room through the lens and perspective of the patient advocate, and how further accommodating them might actually help the patient. So as many rooms as we've been in or seen online, the same blocky couch exists. Why? Can we redesign that? This is a hospital space where there's big, beautiful windows, but they look out onto nothing but a blank rooftop. So adding simple things, taking these first few steps to really enhance that environment. These are design studies for patterning systems of encouraging nature, reconfigurable spaces. How can we give the patient advocate an identity and an area for themselves to claim? And how can they configure it upon their needs? So in closing, the goal of my work is to say, how can the physical design of our spaces, how can that actually affect the politics in the hospital room? Thank you.